Peace. Welcome to the Real HD Show. It's action packed with a little bit of this and a little bit of that because it is where you from and where you at. Let's go. Real HD Show. Welcome to the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. Glad you pushed that button and decided to join on in for the win. That's right. Give the Real HD Show a spin. We the higher discussion. This is prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We're going below the epidermis. Let's go. So I'm the Vic, your host, VICT, short for victorious. And you are on that ride that's going to provide you with awareness so you can move fearless. We are the Real HD Show. We are these shows or these or any other airwaves. You're going to find us celebrating the good, the bad, the ugly of our culture and healing it with freedom music. Freedom music happens from 7:30 to 8 p.m. every time we have a show. So we could deliver it straight to you, or you could catch it on the go. On the go means we're broadcasting to 3, 4, 5 Facebook channels, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Mob Crush, D Live, Trovo Nation, tap in. And everywhere you want to be, we are the Real HD, the higher discussion. Please turn on your notifications, like, share, and subscribe so that every time the show comes on, we can have a higher discussion. That's right. It's Wednesday, hump day. So we're here to pay some bills, give some thrills, and give some awareness. So here we go. Total Package Energy. Melanated company, Olympic tested people approved. Waters, paste, gels, teas, juices, everything you need to get that 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock drag off you. Also, redeem vacations. Bring 5 people to the Real HD Show courtesy of yourself. And leave with a 4-day, 3-night guest pass to a vacation destination in these Estados Unidos or a Caribbean destination near you. Also, please give till it hurts to the Real HD Show Cash App. Sync fundraiser. What is a sync license? Well, it's a license that allows us to play music so that we don't have to keep it in our pregame. We can give it to you right on the show. And last time on the Real HD Show, we talked about our Donald Trump, the rise of a new Caesar. Donald Trump, there was an assassination on his life. And I called it Masterpiece Theater because the connection of Hollywood and government. And we even went back to Dwight Eisenhower to show the links between Hollywood and government and the lengths that they'd go through to create a narrative about whatever, for whatever clandestine reason. We got to move smarter, not harder out here on these streets. Also, what else do we have popping? We have an update. And it's on the Sandra Dorley situation. And this was sent to us courtesy of one of our producers, Jazz. Peace to the sister. Hope she can join the show, in a moment. But she'll join us and we can talk about the update to the Sandra Doyley criminality, as it were. We're trying to keep our not knee on the neck, but pressure on her neck until she is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for her criminal transgressions. And they were criminal. And it should serve as notice to many, many people. No matter what you do in these streets, the streets could catch up to you. No matter how many people you lock up with your political leanings or racist leanings or whatever you think you were doing it in the name of whatever, all of that can boomerang right back at you if you're not leading a life that's righteous, right, and exact, and being right to the people. That can befall you too. We're here for this tonight. Everything is fair, meaning money, and you will see that in a minute. Water is a fair. Rocks and dirt become a fair. Plants and trees have a price tag on them. Sunlight will soon have a price tag on it. Even your flatus, even your passing gas will have a tokenized price on it. And we'll get into that later on the show. Stay tuned for that. That is our teaser that way. And we're glad you can join us. How do you join the Real HD show? Well, you can be on stage. This is the stage where I'm showing you. You could be an on-stage guest, or you can pop your comment in the chat. And when you come up on the stage, you could remain faceless, because we're unapologetic here on the Real HD show. If it applies, we're going to let it fly. And therefore, there's nothing to fear when you come on here. You just got to give it up and make it relevant. And intelligent. So that's all we ask. And I think that's a fair price for the community to have a conversation about our destination and our, progressiveness as we move forward in the 21st century. Therefore, if you want to get on the show, the link is right down there below. StreamYard.com/3JS 6SZR2IN. 3JS 6SZRTIN. And that will get you in. And I can put you here, or if you give me your comments, I will definitely put your comments on the screen and we'll have a conversation about it. We will have a higher discussion. Let's do it. So first, as always, we got to do our segments. First segment is our Elders and Ancestors Blueprint. And last Monday, I brought you one from Hip Hop Cartoon, so we're not going to do that today. Shout out to them. Go mob their channel. Tell them the Real HD show sent you, so you can get credit for that and give them a like and give them a subscribe. But we're going to talk about a town in Michigan that was for melanated people, that was for our Black people. And it was called Idlewild. And it's one of those forgotten towns, one of those forgotten interests that our ancestors used to frequent. And it was a place of peace. It was a place of calm. It was a place to summer. And it was a place to let your kick back, put your feet up, and enjoy life. So even in the times of Jim Crow, even in the times of, our civil rights and independence struggles, there were those unique places of retreat and those unique places of peace, right? So we're going to show it to you right now on the Real HD show. Check this out. Elders and Ancestors Blueprint on the Real HD show. Give me a second, my people, and let me pop it up, because it may be one of those files that are like buried. Give me a second. Okay, I don't see it. Okay, so let me see if I labeled it. I did. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through the internet and pop it up. Because I thought, oh, you know what it is? I know where it is. I think I had it from the last show, but I'll go through the internet now. And I'll pop it up. Okay. Because I had it on just the other day. And it's interesting about Idlewild, because it's the very same Idlewild that a movie was made after. Outkast, they starred in that movie, and it was really dope. So go give Outkast, go give them a listen. Go give the Idlewild soundtrack a listen, because it's fire, and it'll bring you back to that good, feel good, creative hip hop. And we are going to get into it. Let's see. I don't want news. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So Idlewild was in Michigan. It was called the Black Eden of Northern Michigan. So let's check this out. Real HD show. Sorry about the wait. I finally found it. Finally queued it up. Let's go. Real HD show. Okay. Let me go in there and put the sound on, and I will start that over so everybody can be.
It's a popular resort town for African Americans all over the country, boasting as many as 20,000 visitors on a summer weekend.
And now up north in Yates Township, it's a shadow of those former glory days, but residents are hoping the town can make a comeback. Fox 2's Lori Pinson takes us there.
Taking a trip down memory lane.
Oh, look at that. Weren't they handsome?
To a once popular northern Michigan destination, Idlewild. Also known as Black Eden, Idlewild was a cultural and entertainment outlet for African Americans. Before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Idlewild was one of the only resorts open to minorities.
It was a place where, again, you could just genuinely and unapologetically be Black and strive for whatever that might mean without worrying about somebody telling you where your limits were.
Blair's family started coming here in the 1920s and put their roots down.
A safe space, physically, culturally, that was extremely important. Emotionally, that was extremely important for people.
Summers in Idlewild meant swimming, boating, fishing. Nights at the Paradise or Flamingo Club brought big-name acts like Sarah Vaughan or Jackie Wilson. Everyone who was anyone in the Black community from 1912 to the 1960s wanted to be here.
My 20-year-old mom walked this bridge on her honeymoon. The cottages behind her, still intact.
And still occasionally in use. Idlewild has sat untouched and pristine since the 1960s, when discrimination was outlawed and other resorts opened up to minorities. The clubs that once hosted world-renowned entertainment closed. A small group of residents maintain their community, keeping the land and deeds within their families, preserving the only motel in town, getting ready to reintroduce Idlewild to the world.
I see that we do have the ability for kind of an Idlewild 2.0 to provide for the next 50 or 75 years what it had provided to the previous generations before that. To not just be a place that people could appreciate what used to be, but a place where people can discover what could be.
To get the word out, Idlewild leaders will turn this vacant lot into a concert venue, complete with tours and interactive displays that showcase this unique community.
I had never been to Idlewild before, and I came up here about 22 years ago and fell in love with the place. I tell you, there's no place like Idlewild. The peace, the quiet, the tranquility, just being in the woods and being close to God and nature.
This has been an educational experience. This festival stuff is not for the faint of heart, but partnering with Alexander Zonjak, you couldn't have had a better collaboration. You can't have revolution without culture.
No, what there is here that is not at a lot of other events is history. I mean, how could a cultural event at Idlewild not be a good idea? I mean, come on, you got to be kidding.
There are already plans to make this jazz festival an annual event in Idlewild as residents reach out to teach, recruit, and preserve their rich history. From Idlewild, Michigan, I'm Lori Pinson, Fox 2 News.
All right.
We're Michigan's most experienced personal injury law firm. Our lawyers have over 600.
Okay, so that was Idlewild, part of our elders and ancestors blueprint on the Real HD show. And before we jump out of this segment, I got to say this, there used to be a lot of towns throughout the United States that featured a lot of brothers and sisters and their brilliance once upon a time. And, and this was on the heels of the Civil War. So Civil War ended, Black people got noticed that things were different and emancipation was afoot, and they went out to the rest of the country to, prosper, as it were, and to settle. Because remember, even at that part, the country wasn't fully developed. So there are stories of townships that extend from as far north as Michigan and New York, all the way down as west as California, about the settling. Like, remember, they just granted Manhattan Beach, California property back to the original Black inhabitants that owned it back in the day, and all the way far down as Corpus Christi, Texas, and San Antonio, Texas. We set up townships that were thriving, that were economically viable, and because racist factions all over the country did not want to see this succeed, they decided to make national parks, lakes, and monuments out of thriving melanated towns. This happened to be one such town that survived the Order 66 Jedi purge, as it were, to remain a bastion of hope, a bastion of independence, a bastion of freedom, and a bastion of, equality, as it were, for melanated people all over the country to come in either summer or live there or some amalgamation of the two. And we are very thankful in this Ancestors to Elders blueprint to know that a town like that exists. And it's good to know that at a time where so much is doubted about our culture, so much is not taken seriously, and there's so much education that is not being proliferated about the history and the mark and the impact that our people left on this country, it's dope to know that Idlewild still exists, especially in a state where they had a mayor, a racist mayor, and put up a monument to his exploits because of how long he was mayor. There is a counterbalance within that state in Idlewild where Black people have rest, peace, and relaxation. Very important. Very important for health, wealth, and knowledge of self. Really, really dope. I'm thankful for Idlewild. I'm thankful to know about it. And if I get the opportunity, I'm gonna go. How about you? Let us know in the chat where you're at with that. If you had an opportunity to go Idlewild and bring your family for summering or for vacationing or whatever you want to do, even to buy property and keep it as melanated ownership and agency, would you do it? Would you get involved? And would you be interested? Let us know. Put it in the chat where you're at with Idlewild. Let us know. And also let me know if you can hear me, because my mic. I did some testing of my settings, and I want to know if I'm being heard. So put a 1 in the chat, or put a 1 in the the comments, and let me know if you can hear me properly. If you can, we rock it, and if not, I'll troubleshoot. Also, before we get too far, well, I'll do that at halftime. I'll do that like 30 minutes in. So let's go right now to our AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser, for a brand new you. Cue the music. All right, that was the intro to our Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser segment called the AAT Report. Aero Aqua Terra, after my man Sincere. I hope you're doing okay out there, brother. Contact me, man, if you want to come in and do a show or two, or just guest, or whatever you'd like to do. We'd love to hear from you again and get some of that energy, get some of that Taurus energy up in the building. Contact a brother. But if you want to continue to send me clips on Instagram, I welcome everything you got, brother. Hope you are living well. So let's keep moving. And this segment of the AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser, we're going to feature a cat that we haven't done in here in a while. And he's usually on our shows, but we took a little bit of a break, and we're going to bring him back because something as simple as onions can have serious health benefits. And Maccabee is going to talk about it. Fair use on the Real HD Show. Check it out.
Calm Monday, but I feel like cry. I feel like some tears are come to my eye. Not tears of sadness or tears of joy. If you look at this, you will see why. It's a onion. I just cut one. If you ever cut an onion, you'll understand. Onion, I'm going to mention in this Medical Monday edition. Onions are not important, some people say. Most people use onions just to saute. But you see right here, Medical Monday, we look at fruit and veg in a different way. Onions have some nutrients in. Got some minerals and vitamin. Flavonoid called quercetin, which is very good for your system. Also sulfur containing, could help with the blood sugar regulating, could help with the heart and the maintaining. Also blood pressure lowering. You got yellow and red and white onion, green and also spring onion. Investigate, learn about each one, then you make your onion decision. Onions have a strong aroma. You can cook them or eat them as they are. Yes, they are giving the food flavor. More beneficial if you eat them raw. Some not eat them raw because they don't want to smell a bit. But imagine if you get health benefit. They use onions in ancient chemist, eternal. Check the layers in it. A Medical Monday. Yes, I am.
All right, that was Maccabee in a Medical Monday talking about onions. And it said it had a chemical compound called quercetin. And quercetin is good for lowering blood pressure. Quercetin is good for blood regulation. Quercetin is good for it even adds flavor to your food. You know how many times you've seen grandma and mama, throw that onion in the pot and flavor the food up, and then you wonder why that spaghetti tastes so good, or you wonder why that meat or that hamburger pop off the way it do, because that onion and that quercetin gives the food just a dash of just a tinge of spice and a tinge of flavoring to make it much, much healthier and better tasting. Onions were brought initially to Europe by the Moors to the Visigoths, and onions have been a mainstay of diets all around the world ever since. So check that out. Let us know your relationship to onions. Is it just that you cry when you chop it up? Or do you have a better relationship with onions? And can we use onions for more diuretic, health beneficial ways? Let us know. Put it in the chat. Let us know where you're at with onions. We are the Real HD Show. So we're still in a healthy, wealthier, and wiser pace. And I want to introduce this right here. A new study reveals anti-cancer properties in Kenker ginger. So we went from the onion and now we're into the ginger. And ginger's out there fighting all types of good fights for us. You know what I mean? Make ginger a regular part of your diet. So let me tap that in. I will read that article or byline. Okay. So this comes from Science Daily, right? And this was August of last year. But the information is really relevant. So check it out. So I'm going to read you a bit of this byline as we wait for others to join the show. And so we can have a higher discussion. Or if you hear me and you have something to add for the Real HD Show tonight, you can join us and have a higher discussion. In fact, so new study reveals anti-cancer causing properties in Kenker ginger. A Southeast Asian ginger could be potential component for a new anti-cancer markers. I'm doing this for all my peoples out there who struggle with cancer, all my peoples who were slain in the battlefield from cancer. And I hope that with the reading of this and the building on this, we can prevent some folks from passing on from cancer. Let's get to it. Scientists have verified the anti-cancer effects of Kenker, a tropical plant in the ginger family, mainly from Southeast Asia. In a cell and animal experiments, they found Kenker ginger extract and its main active components signifiably inhibit cancer growth cell at cellular and animal level. So basically, it stops cancer growth at the cellular level. Furthermore, the involvement of TFAM in the mechanism action is also confirmed. You may know it's an aromatic spice to add to flavor your dishes or soothing herbal remedy to use for upset stomachs. But researchers at the Osaka University have uncovered promising factors that Kenker ginger, tropical plant from Asia, possesses anti-cancer effects. Led by Professor Akiko Kojima of the Graduate School for Human Life and Ecology, researchers demonstrated that the ginger extract and its main active component in methoxycinnamate significantly suppresses cancer growth at the cellular and animal levels. That's very important, man. You know why it's important for us? Because we often go misdiagnosed, either through savage inequalities or the fact that we don't trust the medical systems in America to give us great service and to really give us customized service on the things that we really need. So a lot of the things that we could prevent through active screenings and active testing and active medical care, we neglect to do because we don't trust the process. And a lot of times we can head off these problems ahead of time if we know that over time, our people have been dietarily robbed of health. And if we could start to fortify our health just a little bit by doing things like onion when the quercetin is in there, and doing things like ginger where the methoxycinnamate is in there, we can suppress cancer cell growth at the cellular level and maintain health so that we could be here for our families and our loved ones. Continuing on the read. While previous studies indicate its anti-cancer potential by decreasing the expression of mitochondrial transcription factor, which is associated with cancer cell proliferation. The extract mechanism remained unclear until now. I wish I had Sincere on here, man, because he's graduated in, bio organics, and he could speak to this a little bit better than I could. But continuing on to read, the results of the study confirm the anti-cancer effects of ginger and its main ingredient, the cinnamate. It is highly expected that TFAM will become a new marker for anti-cancer effects in the future as research advances in these fields, Professor Kojirima has said. Their findings were published in a peer review called the Helion. So go check that out. You can go on Science Daily and read more into this, or you could go on the Helion, which is out of the Graduate School of Human Life and Ecology, and you will find the write up on this, and you could do your own. You could do the knowledge to this on your own time and be very informed about it. And that would do it right now for the Real HD show and a AAT report. Healthy, wealthy, or wiser for a brand new you, because we need all the cell power that we can get. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm gonna do it right now. We're doing a Lit City report, y'all. Let's go. What is the Lit City report? I used to have the Bruno Mars throw your what y'all wanna do? 24 karat and 24 karat gold, I believe it. Whatever his hit song was, but a couple years ago, that was my theme music, and everybody would give me copyright strikes, and it's ridiculous. I even had permission to play it. Anyway, I digress. I'm lamenting. Lit City report: the wacky, the wild, wonderful things that make our world go round, and we have many, many things to show you tonight on the Lit City report. One of the things I thought was cool. That we can get into is that you have many kings of petty Pauls, like Torian Rain has the petty Tendergrass. Petty Tendergrass, I like that. The petty Tendergrass portion of his show, when he wants to get petty about something that's just super unfair to our people, and he wants to highlight it. Once again, please put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me. If you can't, it says in here on my end that my volume is popping. Let me know if it is. If it isn't, I'll troubleshoot and do some other things. So we're in the middle of a Lit City report. The wacky, the wild, the wonderful things that make our world go round. And I'm not usually a petty dude, but I appreciate when people just want to get even, when people get disrespected, and when the karma comes back around and it's in a healthy way or a jokingly way that's not going to like injure anybody, just maybe hurt some feelings or whatever. I'm here for it. All right. So this is Cameron and Mace's show, right? And Cameron, to me, he's like another 50 Cent. King of the petty Pauls, right? And don't like cross him, because if you cross him, he's going to show you out. He's going to show out, and he's going to show up and show out. Somebody's tapping in while I'm doing my show, and I'm trying to see if it's one of my guests so I can let them in backstage so we can have a higher discussion. Let's see. Let's see what's popping. No. Okay. So we're good. I don't have any notifications on that. All right. So we rocking. So King of the Petty Paws in our Lit City report. And the cool thing is a lot of times, a lot of these institutions that exist within America, especially collegiate institutions, they like to seem above reproach until you find out where the dirt actually lies, right? And one institution that comes to mind is Penn State, Happy Valley, Joe Pa, and the king of college football coaches, him and Paul Bear Bryant, and they could do no wrong, and they're angels on earth. And one such coach I want to highlight is Coach K. That's right, Coach Krzyzewski, the super winningest basketball coach at the collegiate level that everybody loves to extol and everybody loves to praise his virtues and how great he is and how, wonderful and magnificent of a coach he is and how winning his programs are. And I'm not going to hold them. They won. So those wins are in the book, right? But nobody is perfect. And nobody is without error, and nobody is without reproach. And that goes for him as well. So Cameron tried to say hi to Coach K, and Coach K tried to play him off. And Cameron is his own celebrity of sorts, just like a Coach K. Coach K is a little bigger. And he said, all right, cool. You want to play me off like, I'm Joe Sucker? I got something for you. Wait till I get to my show. And he did just that. So I want to play a little clip that Cameron, Killer Cam, is at it again with a Petty Paul moment. And it's going to be our Lit City highlight on tonight's Real HD show. Check this out. Fair use. We're going to play Killer Cam going off on Coach K. And I hope I hope everybody can, jump in so we can have a higher discussion about it. All right, here we go. Real HD show. Check it out. I have to fast forward it a bit because I don't want to play the whole clip. I don't want to play the whole clip. I'm going to play a middle portion of it, right about 50 minutes, where Cameron starts going off on Coach K for whatever Coach K had to say or didn't say, or his non-acknowledgement of people. And, America has changed, right? So when you meet somebody that's on a famous level, show a little respect, man. This ain't yesteryear where it's all racist and nobody is on an equal footing with anyone else, and it's expected that you could just disrespect someone and a melanated person, and they're just gonna take it and roll with it. So Cameron is making sure that doesn't happen right here on our Lit City report. Check it out.
I sit there and take pictures. Coach K gonna walk past us. I said, Coach, nigga act like here.
All them Duke jerseys we bought.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so
Make me do an investigation on Coach K behind that shit. We'll do It's What It Is investigation, nigga. All them banks you got in North Carolina, I know what's going on. You think, fuck that. Now I'm supposed to Coach K. Nigga, you think you got Zion for free before the NIL? You got that you own? Hey, could you Google this real quick? How many banks do Coach K own?
I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm not going to be a part of it.
Coach K own mad banks in North Carolina, and he been funneling niggas money for years. You been funneling niggas money for years, man. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, give me a solo. Coach K got mad banks in North Carolina. Zion to Grant Hill to everybody on Crystal Lake. He been putting it through his banks so it looks legitimate. Everybody left. I signed off for us, and he been paying niggas for years before the NIL. Think I don't know. I know about you, Coach. If we got to do the Is What It Is investigation on you, I'll send niggas down to Chapel Hill. That's not because I know Duke is in another part, but I know what part you have.
So that was a Petty Paul moment, but I thought it was a Lit City moment, man, because I think more, we are in this Aquarius environment, man. Nothing's hidden no more. Everybody's coming out and saying what they got to say. So don't think that you're going to do some devilishment. Don't think you're going to pay your way to a championship and not get found out. Don't think you're going to rape little boys, Penn State, and not get found out. Don't think those things aren't going to happen, man. We in this Aquarius age. Information is in the air. Karma is boomeranging crazy on people, and you're going to get found out. And now it seems like, and let me know what you guys think at home. It seems like Coach K is not so brilliant, because it's great when you brilliant when you got all the best athletes. You brilliant when you could pay people to, the best talent. So instead of that person really be interested in your university, you paying them to be there, and you paying them to go crazy and put up big numbers and go crazy and get that pedigree that your university is used to as an athlete. And what would Duke be over the last 30 years if it wasn't for Duke basketball and Duke athletics, and what they were able to amass? And now we're hearing from Grant Hill to Christian Laettner all the way up to Zion Williams that there might have been a little payola scheme involved. So you ain't so brilliant. Are you a cherry picker, Coach K? Like you wanted to coach the Olympic team full of all-stars, team full of showouts and college standouts. That's easy to be a great legendary coach when you got all those people playing and balling out for you. Ain't much coaching you got to do. Put them on the field, run a couple of plays, and let the athleticism speak for itself. So I thought that was a great Lit City report. And every basketball coach who tried to, wrangle with Duke and lost, or tried to, climb that mountaintop to success but didn't quite get there, and felt the influence of a Coach K stealing all the best athletes, not knowing how, but knowing that there was some, devilishment going on behind the scenes. Cameron know these young athletes, man, and they talk to him, they party with him, man, and they break it down. They tell him, look, don't tell nobody, but this is going on, that's going on, because when they're paying these athletes, they got to go to these banks and get that bread, right? They got to have a place to cash these big checks at, right? Therefore, boom, all these basketball players and athletes are going down to these North Carolina banks that are in collusion with Duke basketball to push these agendas forward. Somebody talk hydrocarbon melanin to me. Come on now. If you got the best athletes in the world, you're going to look brilliant as a coach. Do you got Syracuse and St. John roster every year going to the Final Four automatically and bringing all that good basketball money to the NCAA? How much did the NCAA benefit from Coach K paying these players so that Duke can appear in the NCAA tournament and make them look good? How much did that pop off? How many athletes were turned down who wanted to go to Duke, who had legitimate talent, but was played to the left because Coach K was going to give that scholarship to somebody that he paid out? So not only did these people get paid out, they got scholarships to attend school. And someone from the hood that had meaningful basketball skills, that really wanted a spot and could really get busy, like a Jesus Shuttleworth. You know what I mean? Anybody remember He Got Game, right? That person was denied because they couldn't pay into the Coach K scheme. You know what I mean? And if you don't know, now you know. In the words of the immortal, Brooklyn MC. So that was a Lit City report, and I thought that information was super lit, because we all think that these things are just baked in. We think success for a lot of these programs is just baked into the cake. No, my friends. Not so much. There's a payout system, and the best dudes are showing up. Zion Williams all the way back to Grant Hill and Christian Laettner, because they're getting paid out. And Duke is hella racist. You know, them white boys don't play in them, traditional fraternities down there. That was the same university that had to suspend this fraternity because they were on the bus, chanting all this racist stuff many, many years ago. And a lot of the black students at Duke got wind of what they were doing and blew that story up. I don't know if you remember back to like maybe the mid 90s or the mid 2000s. Duke was blown up about those racist antics that they were doing with the athletes, or not the athletes, but that fraternity on the bus. So let us know in the chat where you're at with that. Let us know what you think about the Cameron blowing up Coach K. And was he right? Or was he just petty? Was that a lit piece of information? Did that make anybody that didn't have their hoop dreams fulfilled feel just a little bit better that it wasn't you, my G? It was a payola scheme in place, man. And we know this. But a lot of this stuff is just on the hush. Hey, we got somebody in here. Let's see who's popping. Talk to us, man. How do you feel? Or sis, let us know how you feel about Cameron blowing up Coach K on World Star about him paying athletes under the table to come and play for the infamous Duke University and win all them championships and go to the NCAA Final Fours all them years. Now this Aquarius age is unveiling the BS. Let us know, man. Is Coach K a legendary coach, or does he just pay the best players to play? Put it in the chat. Let us know where you at with that. And let us know how you feel about that whole system. And no wonder NIL is such a big thing, because everybody knew it already went on anyway. So you might as well pay these players. You might as well pay them, pay like they weigh, and pay them per performance and what their value is, because you're doing it under the table anyway. You might as well just make it legal and make these young adults, compensate them for their talents, abilities, and their sacrifices as student athletes. You let us know how you feel. You put it in the comments and let us know where you're coming from in terms of Cameron and his petty Paul moment on Coach K, because Coach K felt he was too good to speak to Cameron. And then what happened after that, Cameron blowing up Coach K with the information that he now knows. Interesting, man. I thought that was real interesting. And I thought it was a lit city moment, because we all know these things go on. Hard to prove, though. Hard to prove. Even if you go all the way to the SCOTUS, right? They got the but-for clause, right, in there when it comes to prove claims of racism. You got to prove it with the but-for clause, and really have a great claim, or they're going to throw it out, because they're loyal to the economic systems that keep them well-fed and well-paid, and the economic systems that exist that circumvent and reciprocate benefits for each other. So it's like socialism for the elite. You know what I'm saying? And now we find out that truly exists. You know what I mean? How many of these board of directors on Duke is just cutting checks to get the best, to get the JJ Redicks, and I hope I think Redick went to Duke. And let me know what y'all think, man. This is kind of revolutionary in the world of sports, because it was never really revealed before how these teams load up athletes and get them to, year after year, to make the same teams as dominant as they are. And then you got these small schools that rise up to prominence, and you just got to hope you assemble the right cast of recruiting so that you can even take on these giants like Duke that are paying people out. I can't say how slimy that is in the world of athletics, and how we always knew that it went on, but just could not prove it. And here we got Cameron that parties and fellowships and is friends with these different athletes. And once they become pro, they bust them down. They let them know the information. Like, yo, I ain't got no loyalty to these people no more. Here's what really pops off. And they like, oh. And then they compare notes and they share like, yo, this is what happens in the rap game. Oh. And, they got a fellowship and a brotherhood over that. So don't sleep on that, man. So just when you think you're doing somebody dirty, somebody's coming around to clear it all up. Don't think in this Aquarius age that you're going to hide from that sort of debauchery. And also, shout out to black media, man. Shout out to melanated media and the power of it. That's the power of it right there. Cameron could go and use his voice as melanated media representative to tell the truth. Tell the truth. And you don't get a whole lot of truth telling right now. You got people running around doing a whole lot of, foo-foo stuff, a lot of fugazi nonsense, a lot of pseudo truth. But this time Cam was like, nah, can't hold back. I don't owe you nothing. Boom. I'm going to make it unapologetic and tell it the way it's supposed to be. So let us know in the chat. Let us know where you at. Let us know what you think of Cameron and how he blew up Coach K in his Petty Paul moment. All right, man, we out of here on that note. That was our Lit City report. The wacky, the wild, the wonderful thing that make your world go round on the Real HD Show. Tune in for that every Monday and every Wednesday, especially on Wednesdays. We're going to try to do Lit City report as much as we can on Wednesdays, and we need you to tune in and comment so we can have a higher discussion. So we're moving on. We're almost at the 9 o'clock hour. So I think we should start our feature presentation or presentations of all of our awareness information right now. Power to the People News. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. We're here for this tonight. Everything is fair, right? And what am I saying? Why am I saying that? Everything is fair, FARE. Now, that usually denotes money, right? And people's ability to tap in and be aware of this information. Now, fair denotes money, not fair meaning equitable or equality, but fair meaning money, right? Or a price on the way that things are designed and proliferated. And we all know that in this WEF era, if you don't know who the WEF, that's the World Economic Forum, and they are pushing for climate change as the main stimulus to change the economic systems that the world is currently running under. And Larry Fink, who is the president of, or the CEO of BlackRock, which is one of the largest mutual firms in the world, has a lot going on with it in terms of its direction. So they want to, we've talked about ESGs on the show. ESGs are environmental, what does it stand for? Environmental social governance. Right. Sorry about that. I had a brain fart for a moment. Environmental social governance. And if you pay attention to the news, you'll learn that environmental social governance we're probably very, very soon going to be involved with a social credit system. So we're already involved in a financial credit system, and they're changing the credit system to central banking digital currencies. And over 60 national chains of banks across the country have already started, putting those central banking digital currencies as the new way to procure and transmit money all over the country and the world. And it comes out of the WDF forums to, I guess, aid in the climate change crisis that they claim. Now, I'm going to say climate change is actually happening. So if you go to the rivers and the streams and the valleys and the lakes, you can see the water receding. You can see the lakes receding. You can see the rising tides in areas that didn't have that at one point, and how those things impact ecosystems. But they're using this as an excuse to control people as of recent. And it's important to note that this is population control through the threat of environmental crisis, which is environmental social governance. And they are mandating through environmental social governance that companies get down with the ESG stakeholders and shareholders format and to curb their carbon footprint. And they have something what they call fraternization, right? And that is where you buy carbon credits, right? Or carbon emission credits or carbon markets, right? And then the carbon markets are allowing companies to continue to leave an imprint on the environmental, pollution in airspace. Now, if your goal as the World Economic Forum is to reduce climate change, why are you allowing Fortune 2000 companies to buy carbon emission credits so that through carbon markets, so that they can be they can continue to pollute the airwaves and the sea waves and the water, the air, and the land, right? So I call cap on that right there. That right there is the oxymoron of it all. That right there is the the hypocrisy of it all. You can't say that you care about the environment, but yet for a certain piece of money, a certain piece of coin, right, you're allowing companies to continue to pollute the environment. How does that work? But yet you want governments to create 15-minute cities to reduce the carbon footprint of the average person who is not doing as much polluting as the Fortune 2000 companies. Man, I need us to have a higher discussion on this tonight. So if you're listening, man, and you want to tap in, I hope we're not being shadow banned or nothing like that, because I usually got a lot of people on. Please tap in. Let us know if you down with something like this, or have you heard anything about it, or just what your thoughts are. What do you think in relation to this subject matter? Because it's very important. They're reshaping the globe, and they're reshaping Neolithic and metropolis societies, like first world countries, the cities that dwell within the first world countries. And they have many countries cities that are already down with 15-minute cities, with carbon marketing, and it's all going to be connected to your carbon footprint. And do we have to pay the price for the carbon credits that other businesses buy? Like there was this 25 law 25 on the books in New York City, and it talked about how through ESG, these big buildings, these developmental buildings that are being built throughout New York City, these condos, right, skyscrapers, if you will, are baking the ESG costs that the governments are charging these companies to stay environmentally friendly through carbon credits and carbon markets, and they're baking it into the rent. So we wondered why New York over the last 20, 25 years have exploded in their housing market. Why did New York City housing market explode even though the pandemic happened? How is all of that even possible? Now you're finding out. Now you're finding out that these companies, these Fortune 2000 corporations that have a lot of real estate power and real estate, in their coffers, they're tapping and they're adding the ESG stakeholder shareholder charge that they get from the government and from the World Economic Forum into the cost of rents. This is serious information, my people. This is serious, serious information. And I want to read a little bit from it. I want to read a little bit from this article that I, found on this very issue. And, let me put the picture up about it. And then I'll find the article and then we can talk about it, man. Let's have a higher discussion about this. Okay. So this is Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock. And this is what is going on there. And let's see, I'll read some of it, and hopefully, if you guys want to jump on, you can continue to do so. I'll leave the call letter right on the bottom here. StreamYard.com, 3JS, 6S, ZR2IN. You guys could jump on in, and we can have a higher discussion about this very thing. But for right now, I'll read. This is out of Bitcoin Magazine. And of course, if you have been reading anything about WEF and the World Economic Forum, you know that they're on a mission to eliminate the blockchain that is Bitcoin and its blockchain technology and its influence on the economy and its influence on making economics people sovereign within America. So here we go. Tokenized Inc. BlackRock's plan to own the fractionalized world. So this is fractionalized basically means nature. So not only do they want to change economics for the tradable commodities that already exist in industry, like fashion and music and design and real estate, now they want to go and conquer nature and make even nature, the rivers, the lakes, the streams, make all of them put a digitalized, tokenized value on what is supposed to be a birthright of people inhabiting the planet. So here we go. In the aftermath of the recent Bitcoin ETF approvals, BlackRock's Larry Fink revealed that soon everything will be ETF'd or tokenized, threatening to fractionalize not just existing assets and commodities, but the natural world, reducing most living things into Wall Street financial products to be traded on a single universal ledger. Super dangerous, man. Super dangerous. So I got to go a little deep into this because there's a couple of paragraphs that are very important here that I want to read to you guys that really bring this home. Barclays, BlackRock's improvement. Okay, let me see if I can get to the one part. Despite Boston, Treasury Secretary, Goldman Sachs. So they link with Goldman Sachs. JP Morgan is down with them. Gaithner's office is down with them. The Fed chair is down with this. I'm just trying to read that one joint where they talk about, because there's a lot of preamble or pre-fluff in the article. But trust me, give me a minute to find this thing. The article is very long. Okay, here we go. While Fink may believe that somehow blockchain technology will supplant corruption in financial markets, he routinely finds himself paired with the notorious criminal banking enterprise led by Dimon, right? After the 3-week trial at the end of summer of 22, Michael Nowak and Greg Smith, head of JP Morgan, precious metals business and gold trade leader, were convicted on fraud, manipulation, and spoofing charges by a federal jury in Chicago. Okay? So that's the one joint, right? And then the U.S. Justice Department alleged that the precious metals business at JP Morgan was run as a criminal enterprise in their biggest ever case of financial fraud. During those closing arguments, prosecutor Perry stated that they, quote, they had the power to move the market, the power to manipulate worldwide price of gold. So you see the clandestine movements that are actually happening with BlackRock and its affiliation with these giant businesses, these Fortune 2000 companies. The Justice Department and the bank resolved several ongoing investigations related to the packing, marketing, sale, arrangement, structuring, insurance of residential-backed securities, mortgage securities, collateral debt obligations, and the bank's practices regarding the underwriting and origination of mortgage loans. So you see how steeped all of this is in the corruption and with the shits, right? So here it is. Nature of the new gold. BlackRock manipulative tactics also apply to its overtures in ESG investing and carbon markets, both of which have long championed by Fink until the anti-ESG sentiment pushed him into softening his public stance. So everybody feared, and I stopped reading for a second. Everybody fears what Larry Fink had the power to do with ESG. And that rumor got out about a year or so ago, and it gave ESG a bad name. And part of these bad guys and what they would like to do with their collusion and clandestine activity has to be your voluntary consent is necessary. And you're not going to consent to something if you know these people are bad guys. So I'll continue reading. Despite Fink's decision to avoid using the term ESG, he and BlackRock remain committed to climate finance and as green finance, not because of environmental benefits it may produce. This is very important, but because of the new markets and asset classes it will create. There you go. See? So these dudes are not. These dudes are in deep and into the the recent mob of mortgages in America, and they're involved in what they call green finance. Okay, and they're strong arming businesses into doing their bidding, and setting up all of these business practices. And if you go back to some of our Real HD episodes where we talked about WEF and we talk about ESG and the impact that it can have, you'll go back and find that and watch it. You'll see what I'm saying here. So next paragraph. In 2020, BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Disney, here we go, right, Bob Iger, they were criticized in an investigative report from Bloomberg for their substantial involvement in carbon offset projects run by the Nature Conservancy. So there's that carbon market piece again, right? And let me just put on the screen what a carbon. Oh, okay. Let me just put on the screen. Peace, brother Marcus. Let me put on the screen what carbon markets are, because carbon markets are important. So this is the crap that they want you to buy into, so that you will kowtow, bend the knee, change your business practices that are supposed to be sovereign into doing their bidding. So here's what carbon markets are. Carbon markets are.
Yeah, I would say so.
Carbon market is a specialized type of financial market through which carbon credits can be bought and sold. Carbon credits are essential permits that allow the purchaser, meaning businesses, to emit, that means pollute, a certain amount of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases into the environment. Now you talk to me, man. I'm getting hype right now, man, because I got Marcus on, and I know Marcus is hype, so I'm gonna get hype. Here we go. What type of contradiction in terms is this? How are you supposed to be so concerned with the environment, but yet you, for a piece of money, you'll let these Fortune 2000 businesses go to Davos, pay a piece of money, and they could continue to pollute? Who's being real here? Who's telling the truth here? And then you're going to strong arm businesses all over the globe to participate in this process, even though you know you're giving Fortune 2000 companies a pass with these carbon credits. What say you, brother Marcus, man? I haven't had you on the show for a while, and it's 9:14, and I'm glad you joined. Whenever you join, man, it's a party. So talk to us, man. What do you think about carbon credits, the WEF, what Larry Fink wants to do with tokenization of nature? Go ahead, man, because I could keep going. Go ahead, good brother. You talk to us.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, so boom. Here we go. I've talked about this before on this show.
Mm-hmm.
This is CBDC. This is all part of the social credit score insanity. You are the carbon that they want to get rid of.
Hello.
You are the carbon
that
they want to control. Remember that you are a carbon-based life form. Listen, they ain't doing nothing but telling you exactly what they're doing, and y'all not listening. You gotta listen good when they're talking. Somebody said, and I don't know how true this is, right? Because I don't do a lot of study into demonology and stuff like that. But I've been told that the demons are very legalistic, right?
Did you say demonology, brother?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I've been told that demons are very legalistic and that they have to tell you what they're doing ahead of time, because they have to, in other words, get your consent to do it.
Oh, you mean like a boogeyman in the middle of a cartoon where they do a diatribe for 5 minutes before they actually commit the evil act? Are you speaking on those sorts? They do like this.
Like you're like, why are you saying all of this? Like,
right.
You know,
just like, do it. What are you talking about?
But they have to. But they have to. This is what I've been told. I don't know if it's true, but it daggone sure seems like it's right about true. Because they're out here telling everybody exactly what they're doing, exactly what the plan is. And they got people that are not aligned with the plan joining up and signing up with them, talking about how a great idea it is. I'll give you the best example I can that overlaps almost all of the things at the same time. And that is the congestion pricing in New York City.
Ooh, okay. So let's go there. Let's go there.
Yeah. That what I thought originally, you know, like, oh, it's congestion pricing. They're just raising the price on the MTA or something, right? I was concerned with other things at the time, like the internment camps and stuff like that they're doing in New York State. Okay. Right. So they kind of got away with that right there under my nose, because if they would have called them what they are, which is really ultra low emission zones or ULUTs, I would have known exactly what they were doing to begin with.
And they're doing the same thing in hold on. Let's build. They're doing the same thing in Cali.
Mm-hmm. Gavin, so they got it going on in London right now.
They're doing the same thing in Cali where they're charging you by the mile per how much you drive.
Well, no. That's a different thing.
No, but I mean, it's still along the lines of like, you know, this. But they're cloaking it in this ESG stuff, though. They're saying it's for the environment. But go ahead, continue.
But I bring this up specifically,
okay,
because what it is it's denial of access to areas. Okay. Yeah. They don't want you, and I heard you talk about the 15-minute city things and stuff like that.
Yes.
They don't want you in certain areas, in certain parts. If you look at where the congestion pricing was for the city, it's all in the wealthy area.
Yeah.
Now remember, it's not money, extra money that you got to pay to drive in there. It's extra money that you got to pay to get in there.
Yeah.
Understand it?
Yeah.
Okay, because they don't want you there. If you're poor, if you're working class, they don't want you there.
Right.
Okay, they're telling you, they're letting you know right now what it is. And people will say, oh, well, people in New York City, they don't drive, they take the train anyway. Well, if that's so true, then why are you doing it at all?
Right.
Make it
right.
I'm using their logic, right? So, but that's part of the larger scheme that they're doing, because they want to limit where we can go, what we can do. And you mentioned the carbon taxes and stuff like that, and how the people that are wealthy and the companies that are wealthy are buying them all up like it's hotcakes, and they're legitimately continuing on with their exact same type of polluting and usage and everything. And the only people that are going to end up suffering and not being able to are the people that are working class and the people that are in poverty. It's a game against the people.
Let me read you a paragraph. That is so spot on. Let me read you a paragraph real quick, and then you can give me your opinion after I finish. In 2020, JP Morgan and Disney were criticized in an investigative report from Bloomberg for their substantial involvement in the carbon offset projects run by the Nature Conservancy. More specifically, BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Disney have purchased a significant amount of credits from the Nature Conservancy to offset their CO2 emissions, of course. However, those credits were ultimately found to be meaningless, as many of the credits were tied to forests that were never in danger of being cut down, but were publicly framed as being endangered and thus preserved by the carbon offset credit scheme. In other words, BlackRock and others were buying empty carbon offset credits so they could posture as being green and placing themselves in the very advantageous position for future implementation of a global carbon market. You go, brother. So it's yours now. What do you think?
Let's look at it like it is. And I think that you brought up something, but I didn't catch the whole show, just part of it. But I think that it is very much worth going into more in depth in relation to this, because the tokenization, right? What is tokenization? Yes. The central digital currency. Okay. Yes. Central banking digital currency. That's the digitalization of the dollar. That's the digital dollar.
Yes.
Okay. Where they can control your dollar, they can control where you spend it, they can control if you can spend it or not, and they can make your money expire or just take it from you as if it never existed.
Yes.
Now, with that situation right there, what we have to remember that's very important is, I don't know if you saw it, brother, but just last week, today's Wednesday, just last week, what's his name? The Federal Reserve, Powell, he was at Congress, right? And Congress was like, yo, man, what's up with all these interest rates? It's crazy. Stuff's expensive. And he's like, man, y'all don't tell me what to do. The Federal Reserve is independent from the federal government. Just FYI, you guys know the Federal Reserve is a private bank. It is not part of our government.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
They take the money from the U.S. Treasury, our money from the U.S. Treasury, and then loan it back to us. Now, if that ain't some fugazi mafioso, okay, type of stuff, I don't know what is. They take your own stuff, selling it back to you at a higher price.
Right.
That don't make no sense.
Right.
Okay. But there's a much longer conversation there. Long and short of it is, he said that we do what we want and when we feel like it, and y'all can't tell us what to do. Then went on to say, it's going to continue until tokenization.
Right.
Now, Now hold on.
I didn't see that quote, but I'm glad you brought that up. That's very spot on.
Now hold on tight real quick, because this goes back to something Jamie Dimon spoke, the head of JP Morgan Chase, spoke about maybe 2 months ago, before that guy that set himself on fire said the same exact thing. Okay. He said that the high prices, the inflation and everything are going to continue until tokenization. Okay. They're trying to tell you exactly what they're doing and what's going to happen. Y'all not listening. Y'all not trying to hear them.
Now
Okay,
let's talk to the people. Let's talk to the people about what tokenization is. So I'll put up the flyer for the show because I tried to do like tokenization for dummies. So I put a price on all these organic materials here. Even the methane that you pulled out is going to have a price on it. You want to fart? They're going to claim your fart is harming the environment and charge you money to fart. It's going to be. So you're talking about plants having a price tag, rocks and dirt and minerals having a price tag. Water is already being sold to you. Sunlight is going to have a price tag on it with the whole Bill Gates, I'm going to block the sun thing. It's happening, brother. And if you don't think it's happening, go in your local, go in any gas station and go look in the freezer. What are you going to see? Water for sale.
Remember that they used to make the joke, they charge you for everything but air. Now they're legitimately trying to charge you for air.
Right. So I saw this dystopian imagery of the tokenization that we're talking about. And you know how people have like asthma pumps?
Mm-hmm.
When they, I just walked 2 blocks, I'm feeling winded. Let me hit my inhaler, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if they can tokenize and commodify air down to you just needing the bare essentials? And now they charge you for air the same way they would supply you with an inhaler for medication.
Well, but isn't that the plan?
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're
You
saying the same
will
thing.
own nothing and be happy, won't you?
Right. That's what we're saying. That's what's so interesting. And that was just somebody's. I had the video, but I don't want to get a copyright by showing it. It was real interesting. It was a cartoon. Go on YouTube and you can find it. But it's the one kid who's walking, and he's walking with his mother. And of course, if you're an adult, you're stronger than you are. As a kid, your lungs are more developed. And the mother could withstand the dystopian weather that didn't allow her to breathe properly, but the kid couldn't. And when the kid got past so many steps, he had to take out his air inhaler and get a couple of pumps in order to keep walking down the block. Is that the society we're moving toward, Brother Marcus? Talk to us.
People aren't ready and people don't want to hear it. And that's really what the problem is. Like the really low level basics to understand the conceptualization of what's going on. People don't even acknowledge. They're stuck on fighting culture wars and whether you're black or whether you're white or, oh, America's racist and all this other BS. They stuck on the wrong stuff. Y'all stuck. What the old folks say? Y'all stuck on stupid.
No, really. Okay. I mean, racism as a construct has always been a throw your rock and hide your hand mechanism while other people in other scenarios are doing other things. You know what I mean? I'll keep the dummies pacified with this while I'm doing all of that in the background. You know, the prestidigitation of the Wizard of Oz, as it were. Go ahead.
It's ridiculous. What do they call it? The prestige.
Prestige, prestidigitation. You know, all of the mechanisms
the prestige. It's the big final finale. Right. That's where we are. Okay. This is the big flim flam. Okay. Right now that's going on. Like they are preparing to completely change our society as we know it. And they're telling you exactly what they're doing. And not enough people are standing up against it in opposition to do really anything about it. Because people are stuck arguing over basic dumb stuff. Okay. What? Who's Ice Spice fighting with this week? I don't know. I don't follow that nonsense. But you get the idea. You understand what I'm saying? What NBA or was it the WNBA beef is going on this. Don't nobody care about no WNBA beat. Are you dumb? Don't
Never
nobody care
did.
about the WNBA at all. The only reason why Caitlyn and what's the girl, the black girl?
Which one are you talking about? Angel Reese?
Reese, yeah. The only reason why they trying to act like there's some big thing between the two of them is so that the WNBA can get some money and somebody can care about it. Don't nobody give a lick of spit about no WNBA and no women's basketball. Come on now, stop playing. And they're like, oh, it's racism. Don't nobody care. Nobody cares. Why do I care? It's not affecting my life. Don't affect me. Right. I don't care who's beefing with Eminem this week. Later for Eminem.
Right.
Okay? I got real stuff to be concerned about. The direction that our government is going and what they're doing to the people. People aren't even bothering with the legislation to be paying attention to what's actually going on. And then when you talk to them about it, they're like, oh, that's not happening. I got 12 different documents here in legislation that you can go look up to see that it's going on. Why won't you actually go do it? Why won't you read? You know, you ever post something online and it's a little bit long and somebody's like, I'm not gonna read all that. What they used to say about black people, if you want to hide something from a black person, you put it in a book. And stuff ain't never changed since that. Okay, they still don't want to read, they still don't want to hear nothing. And if it tries to go a little bit against anything that they believe or hold within themselves, Lord forbid, because they ain't trying to hear nothing that you got to say. And in the meantime, they're getting bent over and they ain't even getting no lube and they about to get it rammed right in there. Okay?
Yeah, I hear you, brother.
It's real. It's really, really real. And it's frustrating me because I just be trying to talk basic stuff with people. And they can't even get on board with the basic stuff. So I'm like, it's no wonder the more larger scale things you can't even comprehend. And like I try to tell people, like I might know 5 to 14% of what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm terrified at what I know that I don't know.
Right.
Like,
Let's talk about it. That haunts me all the time. Like, what don't I know? Am I moving at enough of a pace to find out as much of the information that I need so that I can make a move before things go left or go right or go crazy? You know, I agree.
And now the question is though, and this is what I like to talk about on my shows and my video, how do we go forward, right? What's the next step? What's a practical measure that we can take to move forward, right? Well, the first thing is to start paying attention to what these people are saying that are passing monetary policy, the money matters stuff, okay? The U.S. Department of Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and the people in Congress and what they're going on doing about the money. If you really want to know, that's what you got to be up on. If we're not up on this stuff, we won't see what's coming. And they're really out here telling us what's happening. And when you find out, tell somebody that listens to you, right? Don't just go tell some random person in the street. Start with the people that listen to you. Right. And get them some insight so that they can tell it to somebody that they know that listens to them. Because we got to really start banding together on these larger issues. You're talking about carbon credits, man. I can't even explain to people that they're trying to make the dollar a digital currency. Like that is beyond people. Like that doesn't even make any, like you understand Bitcoin and stuff like that. How can you not understand that they want to put in a digital currency because it's easier to control? Stop it.
Right.
Wake up. Moving forward.
I agree. I agree totally, bro. You spot on, man. You spot on, man.
Man, I had a conversation with one of them people, the people that say, "Oh, I'm not an American. I'm an independent entity, citizen of the universe." Da 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 da. Y'all know the people I'm talking about. Whatever it is, you know exactly the type of people I'm talking about. And they're like, "Oh, none of it'll affect me because they can't do nothing to me, whatever." And they had brought up earlier in the conversation something about the Native Americans, and I pointed out to them. I said, and the reservations, right? And I said, they all live on reservations now, right? How do you think they got on reservations? They took all the stuff from them. You're talking about you're going to go underneath the laws that they got because these are the laws, the way that the laws really work. It's very clear that they don't give a flying monkey's uncle about any type of laws. And if they decide that they're going to take your stuff, they're going to take your stuff regardless of whatever you thought. And if you ain't got the weapons to protect yourself, if you ain't got the numbers to protect yourself, you ain't doing a lick of spit. Come on now, let's talk about it. What are you really doing? So you talking about you going to opt out and everything like that. You're doing yourself a disservice, your community a disservice, because you're not being able to prepare. You just don't have the numbers. You don't got the ammo. You don't have the tangible goods to barter and trade with anybody else that might want it, because you're not a large enough nation state. Stop playing. Look at how they do the Congo. Look at how they do the South American countries. You got more than what they got down there? Come on now. Look at how they lead them willy-nilly by the hand. Stop playing in my face. If they can't do nothing, you sure daggone it can. But they believe this. I tell them, try to explain to them. I said, listen, the best that we can do is work against what's going on right now to buy us some more time to wake some more people up. That's it. You talking all this jibber jabber. Okay, I appreciate it. I respect it. I believe it. Right? That's the more important part. I believe in it, and I believe exactly what they're saying. The problem is, when it comes to implementation, telling me that that's going to protect you from these big bads, you outside your mind. They went over and they blew up Saddam Hussein, right? This man was in his own country, a whole freaking a whole world away, and they blew that man up.
And they blew up that Russian pipeline, so Europe has to have so Eastern Europe has to have a reset.
Yeah, and you telling me that you?
And nobody said a word. They blew that joke up a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, and nobody. You know, if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear
it? Bro, speak it, man. And you telling me that you gonna be okay, man? Please, listen.
Now, as us, now our people, whatever affiliation you identify yourself as. You can call yourself a cat if you like, but you're still melanated, and we're often on the end of savage inequalities. And one of the main things that I like to do on the show is talk about what this means for us. So I always have this up here. What in the world does this mean, or what in the world does this have to do with us? How can we be more prepared? How can we be more and galvanize a more concerted effort to at least like have a say in what's going to happen in the future? If not, you know, do our own thing and all of that. You know, I'm just saying, period. Like, it's very telling when you go, when you see Davos every year and you see the WEF meet and you see all of these schemes and money games that they're playing with business and people and people's lives and so on and so forth, but we're not there.
Yep.
The only person that I saw melanated that could anywhere closely represent what we were talking about, or the needs or the concerns of our people, is when Idris Elba went there representing his home African nation.
He can't represent me.
No, I didn't say that. No. I'm not saying he's representing you. I'm saying we're not at the table. We're not at the table. That's the point I was making. We're not at the table. So then how can we be a part of what's moving forward in the future, tokenized, fractionized or not? How can we do that if we're not at the table?
So I'll say it like this, and no disrespect to you or anybody else, okay? I don't know your family background or your lineage, okay? And I believe delineation is very important. My people are from this country. We are Black American. We've been in this country since before this country was a country. If we want to be able to do something, we need to stop this Pan-African nonsense. We are not from Africa. We are not of Africa. We are of America. There are other people who have come here from the Caribbean or from other parts of other nations that might look melanated, or Africa or whatever, wherever they come from. They are not us. They do not have the same interests of us. And the vast majority of them will tell you real quick that they are not Black because they do not care about us. Okay, that's like the Hispanics, right? Like you got dark Hispanics. They don't care about us. They don't care about us. Nobody cares about Black Americans. Okay. If we want to start something so that we can have something, we need to identify that we are Americans. And anybody that says that all this Pan-African nonsense or whatever the stuff is, which comes from Marcus Garvey, who was from Jamaica, not from America, okay, told us to go back to Africa and was funded by a whole bunch of white people. If anybody else told Black Americans to go back to Africa, it would have been a problem. But because some dark Jamaican guy came up and said it in America, it's okay. And he died in England with a white woman. I'm not trying to play that nonsense.
All right. Hold
Y'all been lied to.
I gotta push.
Hold on.
Wait.
I'm landing my plane.
Yeah, go ahead and finish. Because I want to get to something else, and then
y'all have been lied to. And because of that lie, you have been disenfranchised from your inheritance and been made to believe that you are not a part of this country. So you are not taking part in this country's proceedings. And that is why we do not have a seat at the table, because they are preaching separatism when this is our nation. And we have a historical interest in participating in the decisions in this nation. And we are no longer doing that because we'd rather try to operate outside of the nation that we live in and have been spawned from. Land.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. It's your voice, your victory on the Real HD show. Always will, always is, and always will be. But I got to push back a bit, because when you bring up Garvey and you bring up Pan-Africanism and you bring up a Black or African identity, those things are still very important, even though, wait a minute.
I didn't say nothing. I was quiet.
Even though we do have roots, lineage, and footprints here that run deep. And it's lack of education as to why we can't discern what from what. Now, I already know my people are ultimately, everybody's from the motherland, ultimately, because that was the first place on the planet. But the point is, there was we can't ignore histrionics. That's the first thing. That's another thing I was going to get to tonight, but I'll save that for Monday. We can't ignore histrionics and what the last 1,000 years did to the planet. Okay, what the transatlantic slave trade did, what the robbing, pillaging of melanated identity on the planet has done, and you can't ignore the contribution of those like a Marcus Garvey and others that have fought to unify melanated people globally, whether they are originally from here or not, because we're all fighting white supremacy on a global scale. So once we understand what that is, then we can understand where we're moving forward. But too many of us participate in this ism schism game. I'm this, I'm that, I'm Christian, I'm Catholic, I'm Muslim, I'm NOI, I'm Sunni, we're too fractionalized to unify against a common foe. But I love to have your voice on, because you give a counter to a lot of the, I won't say echo chambers, but a lot of the rhetoric that I commonly get on the show. We need to go a little bit deeper, and we need a dissenting voice, or a voice that's in a different frame, so that we can have a higher conversation. So the whole African melanated piece is a conversation for another time, because this particular conversation is about a larger movement that doesn't care what your nationality is.
And
would you agree? Would you agree about that?
Yes, you said something earlier, and I think it needs to be, because of your whole greater scheme of the conversation here, it needs to be identified. You said that we're fighting against white supremacy or whatever the case is. That's not accurate. We've never been fighting.
That is accurate. That's very accurate. That's very accurate, brother. I don't want to start an argument.
I didn't even get to my point. You don't even know what I'm talking about yet. Just let me finish.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's never actually been white supremacy. Here's the deal. You remember the Hutu and the Tutsi, right? You know the Hutu and the Tutsi, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
The situation with the Hutu and the Tutsi, if I remember correctly, it was the Dutch that were all up in there, right? And they favored one tribe over the other.
Yep.
So now
that created the conflict. Yes, sir.
That created the conflict, even though they're gone from there now. Even though the white people are gone,
even though they're gone from there, and that country is still feeling the effects of, that European nation throwing their rock and hiding the hand once the chaos started.
And that's exactly what we are having when we talk about it's white supremacy. It's not. It's elite supremacy.
So let me ask you a question. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. If that happens over 1,000-year period by different European organizations that are in league with one another, what would you exactly call that? If it's not white supremacy, what would you call it?
Well, you won't let me finish my point, so you won't understand.
No, we're just having a conversation, dialogue, brother.
You're detracting from my point where I'm going, so we'll end up somewhere else.
Go ahead.
The point that I am making is like how they separated those people there because they held one group up above the other is exactly what happened with the white people in Europe. They held them up above us, and they've been using them to keep us down. Now, who is they? Those are the, you call them whatever you want, the elites, the old families, okay, that go all the way back, predating the Persian Empire. We're talking pre-Byzantine times. We're talking ancient Egypt times. We're talking Sumerian times. Okay, we're talking the bloodlines that have been here forever. Okay, they're using them as a tool against us. And because we can't see that and we can't wake up to that, we don't delineate between the fact that there are bloodlines that are at the top of this white supremacy nonsense conspiracy stuff, because that's what it is. It is a conspiracy. There is a small group of individuals at the top that are conspiring against all of humanity, and they're using the white people, white Europeans specifically, as a tool against more so melanated individuals to keep us docile, separated, and disjointed, because that's their lower bridge. They've been hid up, like, for instance, like the samurai in Japan, right? Like they used to pay the samurai in rice. You can't buy nothing with rice. You can't buy nothing in rice. But the people on the top, the shogun used to pay them in rice specifically so they wouldn't have any actual materials to be able to revolt against them, or any real finances to be able to revolt against them, because they didn't have any real tangible money. But they saw that they were above the peasants. They saw they were above the working class, because that is the structure that has been put in. And this is the structure that we are operating within. And that's why we can't see above the white people, because they're being used as a tool to distract us from what's really going on.
Always has been. I mentioned that earlier in the show, brother. Always have been. Always have been. Racism is a social construct by the elite, like you said. But if it is a social construct, it has a name. It has a title. It dominates 9 basic areas of human activity. So if you're gonna do and if it can dominate 9 basic activities, areas of human activity, then you have a system. And if it proliferates over 1,000 or more years, affecting super generations to come, then in fact you have a system.
What do they say about that?
Now, whatever you want to call it, if you want to call it old world kingdom supremacy, or you want to call it white supremacy, they created racism and the word white through the Machiavellian business exchange that developed during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance to dominate human activity in areas of business and usurp the divine right of kings. And this is why businessmen can sit with kings, whereas back in the day they could not ever do such a thing. They would get their head cut off. So what does that mean? And then European kings couldn't be European kings if they didn't get the, let's say, the divine right from what was in the past from Africanized systems, like the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians and the Kush and the committing empires. That's the only way they can even be kings. Because there were no such king, there were no such European kings if you go back far enough. There were no such things. So in order to usurp that divine right that belonged to melanated people on the planet, they had to create a system through business and commerce that would elevate them to king status. So that's all I'm saying. And they titled it white supremacy. And they said it themselves. This is coming out of their mouth. These are in the 1700s and 1800s, when cotton was big business, white supremacy was the title that they gave it. But see, that's different than what we're talking about right now. I'm saying that they've taken the white supremacy tagline and now they're elevating it to corrupting the entire planet. It's no longer, I'm just going to get on a boat and have the best navy in the world, or I'm going to get on a boat and subject the people to mercantilism so that I can make France or Europe or Portugal or whatever country the best country in the world. Now it's about all of them merging together in a one world effort to suppress the planet. So you can call it white supremacy 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, whatever title you want to give it. It's still white supremacy, brother, because they created this. They the one that cracked the genie bottle and let it out, and now the genie is wreaking havoc all over the planet. And this is the next, I guess, the next generation of that systematic domination of 9 areas of human activity. If you understand where I'm coming from.
If that's the case that you're going to take, I'm going to starkly disagree with you on the basis of the title and the way that it'll be conceptually taken.
Well, it's not my title. They created that title. They gave it that title.
It's a font. It's a straw man. It's a fake.
No, it's not. No, stop. I can't let you do that. It's not a straw man. All you got to do is look up any president or any business class person and look up any 1800s, 1900s comment by any notable person, and you will see white supremacy bones flying out their mouth every minute. Everybody from George Washington to John Quincy Adams, they all let that white supremacy bone fly out their mouth. So it wasn't. This is just not some. Wait. This is not some straw man being created. This is what they created. They created this. This is not a Harlem, New York book signing rhetoric that's meant to energize the masses. It's not. This is their rhetoric. This is what they decided to call it. And now they want to put the genie back in the bottle. And you can't do that. The bottle is cracked. And if the world uses this title to kind of denote their evil and their negativity that they put on the planet for the last 1,000 years, then they have no one else to blame but themselves. They really don't. They started this. And if somebody's going to call them out on it for the devilishment that they're doing and the corruptivity that they're participating in, like I just read, they're faking carbon credits just so that they amass them, so when carbon credits become an actual functioning market, they can rule over it. So if anyone wanted sovereignty in the carbon credit market, well, it's too late because they already gobbled up all the credits. I hope you're appreciating what I'm saying.
You're conflating the power of the elites with white supremacy, and I'll ask you this question: if that is what you want, let me ask you a question. If that's what you're terming everything, right? Which I'm telling you, that's way too.
It's not what I'm terming. It's their term. That's what I keep trying to get across to you. This is their term.
It's the same thing like racism.
Do I have to pull these presidents up? Do I have to pull these quotes up?
Everything is racist now, right?
No. Stop.
And told me everything is racist.
Real quick, do I have to pull up what these people have said in the past?
I'm asking.
I'm just.
I don't know. I don't know
do I have to
what
pull up
part
their
of the
quotes?
conceptualization that I'm
Do I
attempting
have
to
to pull up
communicate
Washington and
is not.
Adams and all of the
No, no, hold
founders
on, hold
of
on.
this country,
Hold on, because
and
maybe this will
their
help you
quotes
explain
about
what you're
white
explaining
supremacy?
to me. Hold on. Maybe this will help you explain what you're explaining to me.
No. You don't have to help me explain. No, brother. Stop.
No, I'm saying because
I
I'm saying
respect you. I respect you. So respect me, and let's have a dialogue. That's what this is supposed to be about. Not saying that I'm incapable or I need help.
That's not what I said.
Explaining what I mean. I know what I mean.
That's not what
I know
I
exactly
said.
what I mean.
That's not what I said.
It goes. Listen, man. There's a museum in Washington right now. There's a Masonic museum in Washington that you can go to, and you will see all those quotes that I'm telling you right now, in full form, monumented for everyone to see. And if you don't think one last thing, and if you don't think white supremacy is a thing, then
That's
why
not
do
what
they?
I said.
All right, let me finish. Then why do they have an apotheosis on top of the Capitol building, and George Washington is riding a cloud like he's a god? Come on, man, talk to me. Why is he riding a cloud like he's a god? And they call it the apotheosis. That means man as God. And it's right there as you enter the hall of the Capitol building. It's right on top of it.
Supremacy?
I'm sorry?
And that's white supremacy.
If you're a god, aren't you supreme? If you fashion yourself a god, aren't you supreme? Isn't that what that's saying?
So does that mean that all white people are then thereby gods?
But that's the paradigm and the management system that they created to create a permanent undergirding class of people that could support their business interests and fill their coffers for the last 1,000 years.
So you're saying that the people that are on top of this, whatever we're calling it, don't actually care about white supremacy. It is just a tool.
I didn't say that. I said it. They actually do because they termed it. They actually termed it. That's their term. That's not my term. That's their term. And you seem to be missing that point. White supremacy is created by them. As a matter of fact, look up a person called Matthew Henderson. He was an English playwright around 1611. And he created the term white. There was no term. He was a playwright, just like Shakespeare, and just like what was the other guy that was the big writer? Sir Francis Bacon. All the great writers of the European times. He created the term white. There was no such thing before that. And what did that do? That galvanized everybody that was in the Mother Lodge of England, Freemason Mother Lodge. It galvanized all of them under one umbrella. Then they had the Council of Plantations, and then they went through subjugating most melanated people across the planet in that very way. And I'm not making this up. I've done episodes of this. You can go back and watch them. You can go back and do the knowledge. Look up apotheosis for yourself. Look up how it applies to the Capitol building. Look it up, brother. I'm not making this stuff up. And once again, we're gonna cut it short right here because it's almost 10 o'clock, and we're way past. We're way in overtime. And I appreciate you being on, brother. But guess what? I'm gonna say it one more time because I know you're used to dealing with people that don't know what they're talking about. But I know what I'm talking about.
I never said you don't know what you're talking about. I never said that.
White supremacy is their term. It's not our term. They created that.
Okay, so before we go, here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
If white supremacy is their term, and it's really about the Masons, and it's really about the people that are really on the top of the pyramid, then why does it seem that the majority of the scheme that is currently being implemented is directly harming what would be where we are, right? Because I can't talk about Europe, but in Europe too, the so-called white inhabitants on scale instead of everybody else comparatively. And we've got people out here in the streets talking about we're fighting white replacement and we're for white supremacy, but we're being erased. Don't erase white people. If that is what we're saying is the white supremacy, then how can those two things reconcile if one is at the top of the pyramid and the rest of everyone is seemingly being shunted to the bottom?
Because there's always been a stratification in racism, brother. Always. That's what I say to that. There's always been a stratification. Always. And just like the mestizo classes of the Caribbean and Spanish countries, where they would intermix people and create a management buffer class so that the upper class intelligentsia or monarchs or rulers wouldn't be touched. It's always a stratification. And that intelligentsia and that mestizo class became the managers of the ultimately poor and disenfranchised and oppressed. And they always want to layer in between the poor and the elite so that they can manage the poor and keep, I guess, a functional system of striverism going without everyone knowing that this is a system. And you can't beat a system with striverism. You have to have military force. There has to be blood spilt. People have to go to war to change systems that have military might behind it. Because these systems don't matter. White supremacy doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters if you don't have a militaristic arm to reinforce it. Our problem is, if you really want to know, black people's problem in America is we don't have a military arm to enforce our demands. We don't. So we can march and we can rah-rah and do all of the protesting and all of that. But when they come out with them guns and them smoke bombs and the tear gas and all of that stuff, we don't have an answer for it. So the cycle continues because applicable force is what we are missing as a people. So instead of everybody being on a corner, acting like a corner boy, acting like they ready to pop and shoot the world and act big and act like they're the new big bad, we need to be training our children in armies to take this stuff on. Honestly. Because it's not going to change if you don't have a militaristic mobile arm to defend your ideas. And if you don't believe me, look at the Revolutionary War. There was a ruling group over these people, over the 13 colonies, and they decided to amalgamate together, galvanize together, arm together, and fight off the tyranny that was going on from overseas. And I mean, that's a whole deeper subject. But I appreciate you coming on, brother, man. It's always dope. It's always dynamic. And these are the type of conversations that we need to have so that we can, like you said earlier, position ourselves, define ourselves for ourselves, and not let ourselves be defined and spoken for by others. So I appreciate you being on, brother. And I hope everybody like, share, subscribe, because this is a dope episode. Like, share, subscribe. Remember, it's your voice, your victory on the Real HD Show. Turn on your notifications so on Monday when we have another Real HD episode, we can have a higher discussion. So for myself and Brother Marcus and everybody that's watching the Real HD Show on all 10 channels that we're broadcasting to right now, I'm going to say peace and walk with power. And we will see you guys on Monday. And Brother Marcus, please, you invited to come back anytime you want, because we need a dissenting opinion. Please. I don't run from it. I don't hide from it. We need it, and we need to put these things on Front Street, hash it, vet it out, and chart a course for the future. All right, y'all. Peace, and y'all have a great night. Y'all love on. Blessings.